Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and ever since the trailer for The Northman dropped, I and others like me have been predicting that the woke media and just the woke Twitter mob are going to create this narrative around the film, mainly because it's an all-white cast and has a lot of, toxic attributes to it that are fucking fantastic. They might be toxic by today's standard, but they were phenomenal by ancient standards during the Norse times. There is nothing wrong with this movie from a political standpoint. It doesn't make any sort of political statements. It doesn't do anything like that. It's just trying to tell a good story. But these woke people, they can't handle a movie like that. They can't handle a neutral film that just does what it does. So we were all predicting that some of these sites were going to have an aneurysm about this film and start losing their fucking minds about it. And they mentioned it on Friday Night Tights as well, that something like this was going to happen. And I honestly thought it was going to happen a lot sooner than it did. We've got this article here that was released on the 22nd of April. So this was only came out yesterday. So that was Thursday, the weekend that Northman came out. That's when they decided to Friday that the Northman came out. That's when they decided. I thought it was going to be out months ago, but better late than never. So I actually have a review up for the Northman on my channel. It'll be linked above. I fucking love the movie. It was one of the best movies I've seen in years. So I really loved it. So I really want to see how bad these people hate it and what type of narrative they're going to bring around it. This article actually comes from The Guardian, who they dip their toe into pop culture only when it's politically advantageous. Otherwise, they just do their own other thing that they normally do. So, if someone had to do it, Guardian was a good answer. But let's see what they have to say about this. Norse code. Are white supremacists reading too much into the Northman? No, I haven't heard anyone saying that. Like online, there's been no one talking about, oh, this means that white power or something like that. No one's saying anything like that. Everyone who I've talked to or seen online is just like, holy fuck, this is a fucking amazing movie. I'm so glad that Hollywood is capable of making movies like this these days. No one's taking it from a political or a racial perspective, but Guardian's got to make the narrative. Robert Eggers' Viking blockbuster has already been hailed by white nationalists keen to exploit European mythology. Can Hollywood tell historical stories without unwittingly appealing to toxic ideologies? You know all about toxic ideologies, Mr. Guardian. But no, I haven't seen a single white nationalist or white supremacist or even a normal person who's called those things have any sort of extreme opinion on the movie. They're just like, I'm glad it's a good movie. At the London premiere of The Northman in April, the director Robert Eggers explained on stage how he was seeking to reclaim Viking history from right-wing groups. You said that, Robert Eggers? That's weird. Many of these groups thrive on myths of an imagined European past, a time before racial mixing or progressive politics, when men were mighty warriors and women were compliant childbearers. I've never heard anything like that. It's just a romantic era. There's a lot of cool things to like about that era. I love the Vikings TV show, and it doesn't adhere to this view of the past, view of the Vikings, and I'm kind of disappointed Robert Eggers said that because that's not true for the majority of people who love the Viking era. As Eggers told The Observer recently, such associations almost put him off making The Northman. The macho stereotype of that history? You made the most fucking macho story I've ever fucking seen. There's literally a scene where two naked dudes beat each other to death, roided out muscles in a volcano. That's pretty macho, dude. The right-wing misappropriation. Fucking hell, man. I liked you. A Viking culture made me sort of allergic to it, and I just never wanted to go there. Eggers was spoken of his scholarly research and commitment to getting Viking history right, down to the smallest details. And I really respect that. I loved how historically accurate The Northman was. But as rigorous and as accomplished as The Northman is, it might in fact be the kind of movie the alt-right loves. They keep associating anyone who's not a liberal as alt-right. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Republican. But I'm called alt-right all the fucking time just because I don't agree with this woke ideology. And 99.999 all the way down percent of people in America or the world in general do not have some sort of alt-right conspiracy, racist, white nationalist approach to the Viking era. I've never even heard that before, besides from people like this who love to have their narratives. So this is just a disingenuous approach for both Robert Eggers, if his words aren't being taken out of context, and The Guardian as a whole. The Northman 10th century society appears to be uniformly white. Yeah, it just kind of evolved that way. It's not like they intentionally were an ethno state, just how it was back then. If you went to Africa, they were pretty well ethno states, really still are. But you wouldn't see a whole lot of white people. It's just how the world evolved. You can't call them racist for just kind of how things evolved before long distance travel was easy. Jesus Christ. Men do the ruling and killing, women do the scheming and baby making. Its hero, played by Alexander Skarsgård, is not a million miles from the macho stereotype. He is a fucking macho stereotype, and I love him for it. I don't know what they're trying to say. Eggers complained of a brawny warrior who settles most disputes with a sword and without a shirt. That's what your movie is about, man. Come on. The Northman is a based, agreeable movie, all white cast, and shows pure raw masculinity. Robert Eggers, he is restoring pride in our people with these great films. The Northman is going to be epic. Hail Odin. Uh, it might be a little bit. No, I don't have any problem with that. It's being historically accurate with an all-white cast, pure raw masculinity. Masculinity's been attacked the last few years and just altogether toxic. So nothing wrong with that. Pride in our people. The Viking culture has been mocked a lot. So if he is actually of Viking descent, you might want to reclaim that. Hail Odin. A lot of people are still worshippers of those pagan gods. It's actually more common than people think. So there's nothing wrong with it. They're trying to build a narrative around something like that. That's not that big of a deal. It's not. I don't see that big of a problem with it. Uh, oh, and they're saying that this guy had some Viking symbols on him, so Vikings were bad. No, that's fucking hell. Fucking hell. I don't like to get into politics too much on my channel unless it directly relates to movies, and I don't talk about my personal politics. But this is just asinine, asinine. Are they really saying? They're saying the Third Reich? Third Reich wasn't Norse. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Alright, yeah. They're just listing all the white supremacist stuff that has happened through the years. Holy fuck. And now they're going after Lord of the Rings. That whole deal about how the orcs were actually black people. No normal person saw that comparison. And yeah, just the rest of the article breaks down any mention of Norse mythology in anything that people don't like. Now they're bringing in Ghostbusters 2016. Wow, this article is breaking down everything. And yeah, this is a historically inaccurate tale of the Green Knight. There weren't people of color in England really at this era. So yeah, and now they're going after Thor. Wow, this article just goes into way too much detail about every time Norse mythology has ever been mentioned in any sort of sphere when it came to mocking movies that were too politically engrossed. Like this one, that deserved to be mocked on 100 different fronts. So if a few people happen to be Norse worshippers, well, I guess all Norse people are bad. And oh, we want a historical accuracy from a historical based movie. Oh, and someone like Norse mythology, they must be bad. Fucking hell. And yeah, the historical inaccuracies of the Thors. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just the type of world it created, and it's a fictional one, so that one's fine. But yeah, The Guardian is pulling at straws, man. It is reaching for stuff that isn't there and trying to build a narrative around it like they and other woke sites always do. And I'm here for it. This is just asinine. Asinine. I've not seen a single person try to take a political take on The Northman. They just it's a fucking great movie, and I'm glad that these good movies are capable of being made these days, because like Ghostbusters 2016, which they put an example on, was dog shit. Every woke movie of nowadays has been dog shit. And this one just says, hey, I'm not trying to be political. I'm just trying to tell a good story. And it turned out great for it. That has nothing to do with Norse mythology being appropriated by the alt-right. That is just an insane approach by The Guardian, constantly trying to get attention and get their virtue signal woke points for their ESG score to go up. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Anon. If you like what I do here and want to see good, compelling stories that Hollywood will no longer give you, check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues. Books 1, Down in Flames, and Book 2, Apocalypse Then, currently on sale. Book 3, Kill the Dark, coming soon.